Good morning and welcome back to Madera Farms. This is something I haven't shown in a while, and if you're new because of all the sourdough stuff, you probably might not know that we actually run a farm as well. This is early in the morning, roosters are crowing, clearly haven't gotten myself ready at all. This morning I've been baking, labeling, getting all the things out. I have a huge order going out today, 55 loaves. That's really big for me. A lot of samples of scones, and they're going to the complete opposite side of town. It's a 45-minute drive for me to drop them off. Then I have to pick up flour and get back to pick up Colton from preschool. So I have about 2 hours to get all this done, but I also run a farm. So we have sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, all the things. So I wanted to take you guys along with me today as we do life. This morning I made some sample scones to take along with my delivery, and I packaged and labeled the rest of the bread that needs to be delivered today. I had a few extra scones, so I gave one to Andrew in his lunch and wrote him a cute little note on the back, because what's better than having a homemade pumpkin spice scone in your lunch? Have the truck literally completely packed with bread, no room for the kiddos. But now it's time to get Colton up and ready for school. Good morning. Take out your stuffy. Thank you. How'd you sleep? Before I leave to deliver, I'm going to go ahead and feed my starters because I have a bunch of dough that needs to be made today. So I am going to just put a lot of discard into this jar because I do use the discard quite a bit for different recipes, including my scones. And then I am going to feed all of my starters. I do have 3 separate starters. I just need a lot of them to get done what I need to get done, and I find it easier to have different containers rather than one giant starter. However, one of my starters is in a 2-gallon glass jar, and it is really hard to feed and make sure that I'm using all of it instead of just wasting a bunch of ingredients. But this is what I have going on right now. So I do feed it about 2 cups of warm water, 4 cups of flour, depending on which jar it is. I just do basically 2-to-1 ratio on everything. This is my big starter here. This is the 2-gallon jar, and I am feeding it 5 cups of warm filtered water and then 10 cups of bread flour. It is a pain to feed because it's a lot to mix, but I do use about 1,000 grams or 1 kilogram of starter per 10 loaves. I hope that makes sense. But I do use a lot of starter in my recipes, so it does make sense for me to have. at preschool, and I convinced my mother-in-law that Theo would have much more fun hanging out with her instead of going with me to deliver all of this bread. So a little pit stop at my in-laws' house to drop off Theo for just about an hour while I go deliver this bread and pick up flour. And then my plan is to come right back through, pick up Colton from preschool, pick her up, and get back home. Fingers crossed I can get it all done in time. This is a kind of a test run on how quickly I can get to that side of town and get back. It's really kind of stressful to be delivering all the way over on that side of town, just being myself. The plan is in the near future, Andrew will be leaving his job to join the bakery, and he will take over all of the financial end of it, invoicing, collecting any of the unpaid invoices, which is something we are dealing with right now. I'm not like a stickler on COD, so what our terms are COD, so it's cash on delivery, which a lot of our wholesale customers are perfectly fine with. However, I do have two that are fallen pretty far behind, which puts a strain on me financially, because I am a startup and because I'm such a small scale business. I don't have a ton of capital, especially because I just invested a lot of money in remodeling the bakery in the basement, getting the oven, getting the mixer. I still have to pay for all of this stuff. I still have to pay for all of my ingredients. So when a customer is more than 5 invoices behind, that just kind of puts a damper on things for me. Not the ideal situation. So hopefully in the near future, Andrew will start to take over all of the invoices, collecting payments and doing deliveries. That will leave a lot of time for me to be able to do running around for picking up kids from school, doing play dates, and also more time to bake and be creative in the bakery, which is hard to do when I am the one and only person running this business. All right, thank you. These little segments in the car rides, just like you're a passenger and we're riding together. This is what it feels like to me. Have a few minutes where my brain is actually processing what's going on. And I thought, while I'm driving, I'm obviously not gonna be looking at the camera too much, but I can get this stuff out to you guys because I do think it's valuable. One thing that I have been struggling with the last 2 weeks specifically is being present for my family and my friends, and I feel like my relationships, which I need really good, strong personal connection for my mental health. It just fills my cup up, and I have lacked that so much in the last 2 weeks because I've just been so busy baking and working on this business, and which I love, and this is something I've wanted forever, is to like own my own business. And it's happened, and we're doing very well, but there is a lot of sacrifice that comes along with that, and I wasn't prepared for it to come on so fast. And it's taken, like last week, I'm gonna be honest, a mess. Like I was literally like having so much anxiety. I was having to turn customers away. I shut off all my special orders because I have 185 loaves going out. I can only bake 4 at a time. Now I'm squeezing out 5 at a time. And it's just been honestly like really hard to wrap my head around how am I going to balance all of this. I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to bed at 11:30 at night. I'm not getting enough sleep. And I got really, really anxious and worried about like what I was taking on. I just found that if I work a day ahead, it alleviates so much stress and panic. So for example, on Sunday, I just hung out with my family for the beginning of the day. And then I buckled down and I got dough ready for 50 loaves. That put me ahead by at least 25 loaves. So I had enough that I was like pretty solid to start the week. And then I just keep adding to that bank. So I keep a running inventory of what is already cold proofed. And then, for example, today I'm going to go home and I'm going to start dough for my orders for Friday. And I already know that I have enough in my bank, is what I'm calling it. I have enough cold proofed that I am going to be at least 10 to 12 loaves ahead of what I need for Friday. So it just helps being a little bit prepared. I know everyone's going to order plain. I know everyone's going to order everything. So it's really easy for me to just make a bunch of plain, get those cold proofed, and then I can add the seasoning right before I bake once I have the solid like physical order in front of me. It's just been really helpful to do that, because if I'm not doing that, last week I was getting dough ready the day before, I was staying up baking, I was pulling all-nighters, and it was just really not healthy. My family wasn't getting homemade food. We were eating out, and that's just not how I like to run my house. I don't mind getting pizza on Fridays or, Chipotle or something like that. I don't mind doing that every once in a while, but I prefer to have good home-cooked meals more often than not. So I realigned this week and it feels so much better. So I'm just sharing that with you guys because I know a lot of people are starting microbakeries, small businesses, and it's really hard to get ahead. Find that balance when you're in the thick of it. And that's what happened to me. So Andrew and I had multiple conversations of me crying, saying like, I don't think I need to like cancel on orders. I need to not do orders. But he was the voice of reason and said, like, this is what you wanted to do and you need to figure it out. And I know you're going to figure it out because that's what you do. So we did. We figured it out and I feel so much better. So that's a long-winded way of saying over-prepare at the beginning of the week. That way the rest of your week kind of will align and not feel so crammed up, because that's what happened to me last week. And on Friday, I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. But we're here. We're going to pick up flour. Getting flour is so uneventful. They literally just put it right in the back of my truck and I pull away. But now we're home and it's time to start making our dough. So I'm going to put 15 cups of warm water, and then I am actually doing 1.5 kilogram of starter. Now, if you've been around here, you know that I have always went on feel. I've always went on cups, haven't really measured using a scale. And I still believe that to be true, especially if you're a beginner. But last week I had a really bad incident where I had to throw out about 7 loaves because I went on my feel, and because of my anxiety and stress, my feelers were off. I was just trying to rush. And so this week I decided it's important for me to actually weigh everything out so that if I'm sick or if my feelers are off like they were last week, that I can still get consistent loaves going forward. I put in 1.5 kilograms of starter. This is a lot of starter, but I'm doing 10 loaves in this mixer. I am going to keep adjusting the amount of starter to make sure that it's balanced so that it doesn't overproof in the refrigerator. Right now, I'm kind of on the edge of it could almost overproof. So I know I need to take a little bit more starter out, but I don't want to take out too much because that could be catastrophic and my dough could not rise at all. If you're thinking about getting a commercial mixer, my opinion is do it. I was putting it off for such a long time. I was like, I can just hand mix. But once I got this mixer, I was able to multitask so much better and it saves so much time. So while that's mixing, I am able to feed my starter again and get that back on the shelf, ready to get back up to peak so that I can use it again if need be. I am feeding my starter 4 cups of flour and 2 cups of warm filtered water. It is bread flour. And I like my starter to be pretty thick, as you can see here. For me, it makes the bread a little bit more fluffy and light, and it also allows the starter to peak much faster than if it was more of a 1-to-1 ratio. And that's just something that I personally like. You guys will hear me say it time and time again. Do what works for you. If you have a process that is working, then by all means, keep doing that and perfect on your process. I just find for me, this is what works. I am in no way, shape, or form right or the person that you should go to. I would love to be that person, but I am still in the process of learning. And I feel like with sourdough, we're always learning new things. So no one can ever really perfect it. I've gotten it to a point where I think it is perfect for me, but perfection is all just subject. So again, don't take my word as gold. I am just sharing what I'm doing. In this big tote, I can fit dough for 20 loaves. So I already have 10 in there. This was the second round of mixing. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this in. And this is probably the worst part of the job. This thing is so heavy. Trying to get all of the dough out and hold it is just horrible. So Andrew's going to build me something in the bakery that actually holds the bowl so that I can get everything out of it. Anyways, once I get everything into the tub, I immediately do my first stretch and fold. Stretching and folding this much dough is definitely a challenge, and this is the most flattering angle. Just kidding. So I just turn the tub each time about 90 degrees. And then I go to the sides and then I pick it up. And these are coil folds. I just pick it up from the middle, fold it onto itself twice. And I try and do 3 to 4 rounds of this coil stretch and fold on each loaf. However, with this much starter, I've noticed that even after my second stretch and fold, the dough is really smooth, already starting to bubble. So I really just go on feel with that. I do still put a damp tea towel over the bin. I promised you guys that in the next video I was going to reveal to you what the downstairs bakery looks like, and we are going to do that right now. I'm super excited with how it's coming. Tonight we're going to finish up the floor, and then tomorrow I'll be able to start moving everything down here. So here it is. I am absolutely loving this floor. I think it's so like retro and fun. And I painted all that black. It's just looking so nice. So currently we just have this light like hanging here while we're working. My idea is that I'm gonna do something with this light bulb, like some sort of like light fixture, have like wall sconces or something. This still needs trim, so Andrew's gonna trim that with the same wood that we have over here. And then, excuse me, he needs to finish the flooring. We only have a little bit left. Over there is like basement storage and like the stuff. And I am just gonna do like a tension rod here and do a drop cloth. I have one out there that works really well to just like cover up this area without making it a door, because we still need to get stuff in and out easily. So that's gonna be that. And it's looking so good. So over here is going to be like an office. So I have a desk. I'm going to get everything set up for labels and invoices and all that stuff. So I have like a designated spot for that. I think the refrigerator is going to go in that corner, and then the oven is probably going to go like right in the middle here because it's going to take up a lot of space. So they're going to run the electric for that hopefully this weekend. And then I have an 8-foot table that'll be mainly where I'm going to be working, and that'll be here with the mixer on the very end. And then over here we're going to get a sink in with like a little wash area, so that's going to cover that like pipe that I painted black, and it'll come out pretty far. I plan on doing like racks up here so I can hang everything to dry. And then this little area is actually like fun. At first I was like, oh my gosh, I hate that it like jets out, but I think I'm gonna put those like cube organizers over here. I have an extra one. I'm just gonna paint it black and then put it over here. Hi, buddy. Besides the exciting bakery update, I also have another thing I want to share with you guys. Is I got a deck oven. Now I'm currently in the process of testing out this oven because it's not just a bread oven. It's not something you like plug and go. There's definitely quirks to it. It's used and on budget for what I am trying to do. Did not want to go into debt or take finances from my family to be able to buy this oven. This is what we got, and I am working with it for a few days now. This particular oven is in Celsius, so I've been learning that conversion. There's a few things with it that make it a little bit more challenging. One is it has a vent right out the back, so for any moisture to stay in is really hard. So we're trying to figure out like a little flap or something that will keep the moisture in for the first at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the bake. Then I want to be able to remove that flap or move it so that it can get crispy on the outside. So I'm going to throw in a test loaf right now, see how we do. All right, so you can see the bread in here comes nice and tall. Still having a little bit of a problem with getting an ear. So I still think that that is a moisture issue. I did plug up the back to see if we could control that. I'm gonna open this really quick just so we can see. Still seems like a bit of a moisture issue. I'm gonna spray again. As I was talking about earlier, there is one particular wholesale customer that is very behind on their invoices. I had to send out an email today just kind of letting them know that I'm going to pause bringing bread until they can pay what they owe. This is like something hard for me because I'm not really like a stickler on those sorts of things, but as a small business, I rely on those resources to be able to grow, and I can't just keep making bread and bringing it without getting a paycheck. And that's hard as a business owner because I'm such a people pleaser that I want to just keep providing. And I love making bread and bringing it. It is a business, so I need to just stick to my gut. So I sent that email out today. I haven't heard anything, and it's just kind of like weighing on my heart because I hate doing those kinds of things, but you kind of have to do what you have to do. If they're not going to pay you for the bread, then you can't take it. I am on my third test in this oven for today. This is test number 6 or 7, and we're getting closer and closer. I'm finding that I'm still having a hard time getting an ear. Now, when I cut the bread open, the crumb is perfect. Like, I absolutely love it. The crust is great. Everything about the bread is perfect besides the ear. So I have another one in right now, and looks much better than the other two. And my oven, I'm kind of documenting this to like help myself too. My top temperature is at 222 degrees Celsius. My bottom temperature is at 271 degrees Celsius. Looks like we're getting a pretty even bake. You guys can see here. Looks like it's coming open nicely. I do have a pot of water in there with just like a pan of water, and the back vent is blocked. So right now, so far, I think this is probably one of the better ones. So we're getting really, really close on making it perfect. I don't want to open it because I don't want to kind of jinx anything, but it looks to be pretty good. While I'm waiting on that bread to finish, I'm going to start forming this dough, and I'm hoping to get it all done before dinner, but we'll see. This is a pepperoni mozzarella loaf. This is my #1 seller. It has literally been since day one. So I'm just putting my inclusions in and putting it into the refrigerator to cold proof. I don't really do anything special. I don't measure out my ingredients quite yet. I just, again, go by what feels right. I know like a handful of mozzarella and then a handful of pepperoni fills it up, and it doesn't make it too greasy. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to do pepperoni. It can get too greasy. In the middle of finishing up one of my last bakes for today. I'm gonna finish the rest of them tomorrow morning. I have a huge tote here that I'm working through on dough, but I need to take a pause so that I can get dinner started. This is just how my day goes. It's just jumping from one thing to the next. And if you run a microbaker and you're at home, you understand that. So tonight we are going to be making stuffed peppers with chicken. It's like a chicken Parmesan stuffed pepper, which is gonna be really good. I am just gonna throw my chicken into the air fryer for like 15 minutes just to bake my chicken, and then we're gonna pop everything, mix it all up, pop it in the oven for like 30 minutes, and it'll be good to go. If you know me, you know that I like home cooked meals for my family. I prefer them to eat something healthy. I know it can be really hard to achieve that, especially if you have little ones, you're running a business, all of the things. I completely can sympathize with all of that. It doesn't have to be extravagant meals. I hope you guys can hear me. I didn't put on my microphone. These meals don't have to be extravagant. They don't have to be something so crazy. A good home cooked meal can simply be just chicken and rice. Like, it doesn't have to be something crazy. And I honestly prefer to do these simple meals on days when I know I'm going to be really busy baking, because it's just one less thing that I have to worry about. And lately that's kind of been the standard, is that, you know, we're running this micro bakery 24/7, it feels like. I don't really have the luxury of spending hours making a meal. Would I like to spend more time baking for my family or cooking for my family? Sure. I used to make all kinds of great meals, it all. And as much as I loved that, and I loved being able to do that for my family, it's just not the season right now that I can do that. So we're still making a lot of meals from home. I did confess to you guys that we ate out more in the last 2 weeks than we have eaten out in a while. Overall, I mean, I think we're still eating at home more than we are eating out. So it's just something that I prioritize, not only financially, but just for the sake of being home. So this is the last set of bread that I'm gonna bake right now. I'm getting the oven prepped for dinner now. So I'm gonna go slide these onto the cooling rack. If you don't have an air fryer, it is such an easy way to get your meals going quickly, especially if you're trying to be more mindful of where your meat is coming from, what you're feeding your family. It's great to invest in air fryers, crock pots, whatever it is that's going to help you be able to do that more smoothly. I have dinner started. I can pop back over to my dough. I can get out the rest of the jalapeno cheddar that needs to go out. I got all of the dough done, and now it's time to enjoy this easy home cooked meal. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.